Call the City of Westfield Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order for July 24th, 2024. Would the staff please note the presence of quorum?
Nick Barbkinick.
Here.
Randy Graham.
Present.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you. First up, action item number 1, approval of minutes from the June 26, 2024 meeting. Having had opportunity to review those minutes, are there any additions, corrections, or comments?
None here.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and approved or seconded to approve action item number 1, the minutes of June 26, 2024. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under contracts and agreements, on to action item number 2, employee social media policy, addendum to the City of Westfield 2024, personnel policy, procedures and benefits manual.
Good afternoon, Kayla Arnold, Director of Communications. This is just a social media, we'll call it terms and conditions for users. So this is how, just kind of outlines a policy for how the city will act and behave, for lack of a better term, on social media with the various accounts that we run. Just a couple points of note is that users should know that all social media posts that we make, as well as comments and replies to those posts, may be subject to Indiana's Access to Public Records Act. This also talks about how, due to First Amendment rights, we don't delete, hide comments unless they advocate violence or illegal activity, hate speech, are obscene, sexually explicit. So that's kind of outlined in item number 2 under content moderation, and it is viewed as a limited public forum. So happy to answer any questions you may have, but it's a pretty straightforward document that we would just like to get added to the personnel policy.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Nope, seems pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah, as well.
Great, thank you.
All right. No further comment. I'll make a motion to approve action item number 2, employee social media policy, addendum to the City of Westfield 2024, personnel policy, procedures and benefits manual.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded to approve action item number 2 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 3, personnel policy, procedures and benefits manual updates.
Good afternoon, Brady Laux, Director of HR here at the City of Westfield. I'm here to propose just some policy changes in the manual for 2024. Typically, we do wait for the end of the year to do policy updates for 2025. However, these policy updates are ones that I feel like are really needed at this time. So to follow the Director of Communications with the social media for what their department is doing, we want to make sure that we have a social media policy in place for our employees, something just to hold them accountable to create transparency and parameters, as well as really protecting the city's reputation, ensuring legal compliance, and things towards discrimination and such. So it's a fairly simple policy, a couple pages here. Hopefully you had time to review that. Really goes in line with the prior policy that was just presented. With that, the next policy was our artificial intelligence policy. As you know, AI is kind of taking over the world right now, and so we want to make sure that we have something in place if the city were to decide to use any AI artificial intelligence in the future. We may have some employees currently that use things like ChatGPT and such, so we want to make sure to outline what those parameters are as well. Really ensuring accountability and transparency with that, as well as privacy data. We will be working with IT to make sure that anything that needs to be shut down and kept at a privacy level will be. We do plan to also offer training for employees here in fourth quarter is our hope to get really training on AI as that is coming up. So that is that policy. And then lastly, with the policy manual, we do have something that is in section 4 regarding our PTO time. An issue that we have kind of ran up against is when we have new hires coming in. To be honest with you, our policy is not super attractive. We are going to be looking to change that for 2025. Right now, one of the things is 90 days of employment waiting for some of your PTO to be awarded. Well, when summer's here, a lot of people have vacations and they're coming in having to take unpaid time, as well as some people are getting married and have weddings to attend to. So something to be more attractive is we are wanting to add verbiage under, it is page 18, section 4.09. Unless a special circumstance and must be approved by the mayor or deputy mayor / chief of staff. So that is the verbiage we would like to add for that. We do have a form in HR that can be filled out to make sure we have that on record to once again make sure there's no bias or discrimination regarding who gets that appropriated amount before the 90 days. With that, that is all the changes that we are proposing at this time. I will open the floor for any questions.
Yeah, I think 90 days is pretty standard for PTO and other benefits on new hires, but I know there are exceptions, so it's good the city is taking that into consideration to make it more attractive for someone who had, like a pre-existing, like you said, wedding planned or something, they change jobs, they come, it's within the 90 days. It's certainly something that you should know up front and not something sprung on you, but it's good that the city is taking that into consideration.
Yes, absolutely.
Nick, anything?
Anything on the AI policy, as y'all were drafting it, that you were worried about limiting yourself in the future of the city being able to use AI?
No, we actually want to promote innovation really with that. So if there are opportunities to grow in that way, that's really what the policy is for, is to kind of set parameters to make sure we're understanding what the use should be, but also promoting that in the future for any needs that come up.
Perfect, and balancing transparency and privacy as we're all going through this and trying to figure it out. That's great. Nothing from me.
That's it for me.
All right, thank you.
All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 3, personnel policy, procedures, and benefits manual updates.
And I second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve action item number 3 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And on to action item number 4, American Structure Point, Inc., City of Westfield, 151st and Town Roundabout Construction Inspection Services Contract.
Yes, for the record, Michael Pierce, City Engineer, Public Works. This contract before you is a construction inspection contract with American Structure Point for the future construction of a roundabout at 151st in town. This is a project we had rural call funding for to build a roundabout planned next year, spring of 2025. Because we had rural dollars associated with this, we followed an RFP process where we had 13 firms submit letters of interest. We went through, ranked those. American Structure Point came out as the top selection in that. And we worked with them to get a proposal of $250,335.27, which we feel is reasonable given the market. And we have good reputation, or Structure Point has a good reputation working with us. They most notably just did 161st and Oak roundabout inspection on that project. So we feel comfortable with moving forward with this contract and ask that you would approve this.
Oh, and can I add really quick? We had a quick email about this, just adding in, because it's longer than a year, a non-appropriation clause, which just has to do with available budgets and making sure that there's appropriations available. So if we could just do a motion to approve it based on a few changes based on legal recommendation.
All right, I will make a motion to approve action item number 4, American Structure Point, Inc., in City of Westfield, 151st in Town Roundabout Construction Inspection Services Contract with the notes on record from council.
And I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve action item number 4 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 5, Midwest Paving LLC and City of Westfield Goods and Services Contract for Tomlinson Road.
Sure. Again, Michael Pierce, City Engineer. So this contract is for the road widening of Tomlinson Road between 196th Street and Chatham Hills Boulevard. So this is a highly anticipated project that residents have been anticipating for several years. But we opened bids on this project on June 28th. We received 5 bids. The lowest of those was from Midwest at $618,244.53. Midwest is a reputable contractor that's done a lot of work here in Westfield, so we feel comfortable with awarding them this project. With this work is to be completed by basically the end of October this year. So we hope to have them getting started fairly soon after this meeting if the contract's approved. So we would just ask for approval on the contract so they can get started on this work.
I'll just add that this one actually came in under budget by about 30% compared to our engineer's estimate. So both kudos to Beam Longest and Neff, who is our engineer, but also high quality plans, but also a very competitive bidding environment that the Westfield taxpayer benefits from.
That's always appreciated, and we appreciate your due diligence on that, and good job, good job. Anything?
No, this seems like it's in line with what I'm looking at, yeah.
Yep. All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 5, Midwest Paving LLC and City of Westfield Goods and Services Contract for Tomlinson Road.
And a second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve action item number 5 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And on to action item number 6, Dewberry and City of Westfield Police Department Headquarters Design Development Contract.
Good afternoon, Scott Sinnefeld with the Veritas Group. Appreciate to be here this afternoon with you. This is a follow-up to the LOI that you had received and reviewed action on last month, but we're here to present a contract before you for the continuation of design services for the Westfield Public Safety Police Department building. This contract proposed with Dewberry Architects has been fully vetted by our team from a scope perspective as well as City Council for legal. And we're here to present this to you in the form of continued through design development and construction administration. This contract in the amount of $2,671,810 is $1,000 less than the initial design contract and budget. So I want to point that out, but happy to address any questions or comments that you may have as a part of that review.
Can you just remind me of the timeline we're looking at?
Sure. So based on the LOI that you reviewed last week, the architect has continued or progressed. We've had 2 meetings to date with the executive team and the police department leadership. As a result of that, there's been some review of the program and efforts to ensure that the project right sizes to a budget. We're anticipating the architect's response literally by the 6th of August for a first plan update as a result of the last 2 meetings. From there, we'll go right back into estimating with the construction team to ensure again that we're walking the right road towards that budget. Based on that timeline, which is a little bit to be determined, we'll request from Dewberry a duration schedule for the next phases of design development and construction documents. The overall time frame is we hope to be able to put a shovel in the ground at the appropriate season, right, to be able to construct next year.
Perfect, thank you. That's all for me.
I'm good. If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 6, Dewberry and City Westfield Police Department Headquarters Design Development Contract.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve action item number 6 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to action item number 7, Crate Escapes in City of Westfield Road Impact Fee Agreement.
Yes, Michael Pierce, city engineer. This is a pretty straightforward item. This is just our typical road impact fee installment agreement, whereas the developer is able to stretch their road impact fee payments out over 5 years with an initial payment up front to get their building permit. So this is for Crate Escapes, which is a restaurant slash dog bar slash dog park concept development that's going to be up near Grand Park. So just ask that you approve this. It's allowed per state statute, so should be pretty straightforward.
When can I get a beer with my dog?
That's a great question. I have to check the website to see when they open. I think they're looking at trying to get started yet this year, so I would
Cool.
anticipate
Thank you.
maybe a year or so.
I'll ask them. Thank you.
So the dogs must be 3 years old to be there. That's 21 years
I
of
was
dog
waiting.
years. So I couldn't, you started it, and, you know, you shouldn't get me started. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay.
Move to approve as stated for the record.
I will second that. The motion's been made to approve and seconded. Action item number 7, Crate Escapes and City of Westfield Road Impact Fee Agreement. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Up is action item number 8, resolution number 24-130 regarding the intergovernmental transfer of real property interest 202 Penn Street.
Good afternoon, members of the board. For the record, Danielle Carey Tolan. We are looking at transferring the property, which is actually right next door to us, which is a city-owned property. We're looking at really at all of our asset properties across the board of our real estate properties as a city, and looking at transferring those over to the CDC to basically get them off of our record books and stop leasing them out and us being landlords in that aspect. So this is one of those properties that we have sought out as not being a high priority asset and not looking to redevelop this area as a city. So we're just asking to transfer it to the CDC, and Caitlin's here to answer any legal questions that you may have.
Yeah, so this is just another one of those that we've done, I think, once or twice this year, where property between governmental entities can just be transferred without following a disposal process, but both boards have to adopt a resolution. I don't think the RDC has accepted it yet, so after, if you guys vote to do so, they would pass basically an identical resolution accepting the property. And we would just do, I think it's a limited warranty deed to paper that all up afterwards.
Can you guys remind me the benefit of transferring to the RDC and not just keeping it under the city?
So the benefit, right, like, we don't need it for the city for anything that we are going to be doing citywide, whether it's expanding the city hall here or anything like that. So why keep that asset when we know that we want to redevelop that area eventually, or turn it into another business and sell it off to a business and actually gain revenue from that?
Love it.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Nope, none from me.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 8, resolution 24-130 regarding the intergovernmental transfer of real property interest 202 Penn Street.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve action item number 8 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, action item number 9, resolution 24-131 regarding intergovernmental, you're making me say that too many times, transfer of personal property interest, city disposal of fire engines.
Yeah, so very similar to the last resolution, this is the same thing, and actually we're working on developing a partnership with the schools, and they've started a public safety education piece within the system. So we would like to donate them a couple old fire trucks that are currently in our fleet, donate them to the school for them to use in their public safety firefighter class coming up.
Sounds great.
So educate me a little bit. I'm a little out of touch with that.
Yep.
Is that a new class that they're going to have coming on, or is it something that exists right now?
It actually exists right now. They've started discussions almost 3 years ago, but now there's a funding mechanism through the state of Indiana that they're actually teaching certain public safety courses in high school, EMT and a fire science program currently. And so Westfield hosts the class. They started this year. Mr. King is teaching at the high school, and then next year year coming up here is year number 2 for the program. So they've always been in need of apparatus and other parts and pieces that it takes to do the job, and more of the hands-on kinds of things. And so this is our way of helping them with the class outside of just stopping in as instructors and conversation pieces, but now they actually have physical things that they can take part in and actually learn how to be a firefighter or a public safety employee.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to hear this. So the fire science class, will they still need to go and do like the 2-year fire science, like Ivy Tech kind of a thing after this? Will this qualify them, or is it just a prereq to the college level?
So Indiana's a little unique when it comes to certifications and recognition of certain licensure and pieces, especially in the fire side. So there's not a state academy like there is with law enforcement officers. So this program that they're doing now in the high schools, that the students actually come out of school, when they graduate high school, they actually come out with certifications. So
That's awesome.
when they go attend Ivy Tech or Vincennes or some of the other universities have a public safety program, they actually get college credit starting off, and they'll still attend and take some certain classes to further their degree and get an associate's in fire science. But they do become actually certified. And some students don't want or don't desire to take the exam, so they're going through the classes. It's something that I really want to do. They don't take the exams at the end to get the certification. Some high schools throughout the state actually offer the certs, and some don't. So it's really, to answer your question, it's a blend throughout the community in the state that is out there in different communities and different times, and quite frankly, different students, even in the same school, may opt to not get a certification. So
That's awesome. I can't think of a better disposal method than, continued education that has meaningful, output on the other end. So I think it's great. Nick? Nothing else from me. All right. There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion to approve action item number 9, Resolution 24-131 regarding the intergovernmental transfer of personal property interest, city disposal of fire engines.
And I second.
Motion made and seconded to approve action item number 9 as stated for the record. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Before I make a motion on the consent agenda, as I've stated before, it wouldn't be on there if it wasn't ready to go. But I know sometimes when we're talking about hires and whatnot, there's presentation. So Chief Keen, is that something you want to talk about?
does this put y'all in staffing?
So we were budgeted for 175. This should bring us to 175. However, we also have a pending retirement next week. Lieutenant Bobby Gorell, after 36 years of service, she has announced her retirement next week.
I'm sorry, who is retiring?
Lieutenant Bobby Gorell.
Okay, yeah.
Unit now.
Very cool. Yeah.
Any
sounds
other
great.
discussion?
Nothing from me.
Thank you, Chief. And at this point, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated, with noting the comments of Chief Keen for the record.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You want to go ahead and do your report while you're up here? Okay, go ahead.
So in addition to that, I guess their next request would be the promotions. And first with the 2 lieutenant promotions. Again, based on a pending retirement, that'll create one, as well as some staffing changes that I'll talk to you more about further when it gets down to our presentation. But that creates 2 lieutenants positions. I'm requesting that the promotion of Sergeant Stephen Short and Lindsay Bevilacqua from this board today.
And you want to go ahead and talk about the sergeants?
Yeah. So with those promotions, then it will create 2 vacancies in sergeants from there, obviously. And I would request that Officer Brock Larison and Derek Baldridge be promoted to sergeant to fill those vacancies.
Very good. Any discussion?
None from me.
I will amend my motion to approve the consent agenda, noting the additional comments of Chief Keen.
Second if I need to.
Sure. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the amended comments of the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You want to go ahead and do your, since you're up here?
Sure. That'd be helpful. So, I know you've received our report, but in addition to that, I know in the last meeting I kind of updated you that I was going through the process of interviewing all the members of the police department, and then we'd be doing some restructuring. So today, what I wanted to present to you was our new organizational chart and kind of explain some of those changes that will be taking place on Monday. I think mine's in the PowerPoint at the bottom. Yeah, it's just there's a single slide there that'll. Yeah, so if you go to slide 2. Yeah, thank you. Okay, there we go. So some of the restructuring was based on a great deal of, in large part to the interviews that I conducted and kind of the analysis of where I wanted to take the department moving forward. Prior to this, we had 1 assistant chief. And kind of what I was used to was 2 assistant chiefs. It's in line with Fishers and Carmel. And honestly, it puts us in a good position as the department grows to cover all the areas of the department. So what you're looking at here, I'll start with the operations division. We now have Assistant Chief Eric Grimes, who will be over operations, which includes both patrol and investigations. Assistant Chief Scott Jordan will remain Assistant Chief, and he'll be over the administration section of the police department. I'll start with operations. Patrol, we have Captain, on Monday, these promotions, as far as the captain's promotions or appointments will go into effect. So on Monday then, Captain Mike Sierra will be over our patrol division, which includes each of the 4 shifts, the school resource officer program, and our traffic officers. Prior to this change, those units were separated throughout the department. We had the shifts in operations while we had the school resource officers in the services division of the department. So the change here is bringing those areas together. So operations are under one umbrella. We have 1 supervisor over all uniformed personnel. Next, if we go to the investigations unit or division, we have Captain Rob Dine, who will take over on Monday. Again, prior to this change, we had some of our general case assignment detectives in CID, while our special investigators were in the services division. So again, we brought like functions together here under 1 supervisor so that they can more seamlessly work together.
In addition, so under this division, we have both the general case assignment detectives, the special investigative unit, and our criminalists who process the crime scenes. Moving on to the administration division, we have Special Services Captain Jeff Skowski. He'll be taking over our training unit, which is, we had 2 officers, a sergeant and an officer assigned to those areas. As we move forward, again, we'll have one responsible for external training, or the training that we're going to be bringing in and hosting, and one on internal mandates from the state. In addition to that, accreditation falls under here. That won't change. Property and evidence is one thing as we look to the future that I want to separate. Currently, the criminalists were both collecting evidence and storing it and disposing of it. It's better to have that be a separate function for chain of custody, so we're going to start that process here. And Jim Lilly will be the lieutenant over the property and evidence unit. Our last area, or second to last area here, we have the support services, and that will be Captain Billy Adams. He'll be over that area. In addition to his role as PIO, he'll be supervising the support services division, and that will include a lieutenant over special events and planning, a sergeant over fleet, and a lieutenant over special projects and community engagement. So there, as the department looks to the future, we look at certain things that we may want to try, whether that's a drones as a first responder program or a social worker program, anything that is kind of trending in law enforcement. We want to look at that first exploration of that. It would start there. Whether or not that's right for our community or our department or not, it will start with that position. That position will also assist Captain Adams as we engage in more community projects and engagement without the community. Not just National Night Out, but some other things that I really want to expand on our engagement with the community. That's what that function will take care of. Lastly, we have our records manager, and what we're doing here, as Lieutenant Bobby Gurrell retires, we're going to transfer that into a civilian position. So with that, Andrea, who's been with us, will take over that role currently held by a lieutenant. This is common with most departments that you're seeing. Are there some civilianization of the police departments? Areas that don't necessarily require a sworn police officer, we can reuse that police officer in areas that specialty and that level of qualifications and that expense can be better spent. Here, this will be a strictly civilian unit. We will split some of their duties. They will be over the budget and financing, and then some of the training records that Lieutenant Gurrell was doing before will then be handled actually by the training unit. So this is definitely a change within the structure of the department, but I think it's one that will help us as we grow as a community, as a police department. It puts us in a better position. The team that we've selected, there was a lot of talented supervisors on the police department, without a doubt. There are some very good task-oriented supervisors. And so we took all that into consideration. Once I selected the assistant chiefs in with the mayor's approval, we sat down to build this command team. And what we're looking for, not just servant leaders and those that are good task-driven leaders, but also we wanted to build a team that could work together seamlessly. And that's what I think we've accomplished here with these appointments. So I'd be happy to answer any questions at this point that you might have, but this is kind of our reorganization. You're some of the first to be presented with it. This will take effect on Monday. And again, any questions you have, I'm happy to answer at this point.
Thank you for that level of detail. As Westfield continues to grow, what areas of the department under this reorganization do you anticipate growing more relative to just generally department growth?
So there's some areas here. When I look at, as I mentioned, the command staff, I don't think we need additional command staff. I operated a department almost twice the size with the same number. And so I think we're good here. Like I said, this will support us as we grow. So we don't need further investment there, even as we're twice the size we are. Same thing with training and these support areas. This is adequate. This is what I was used to for a larger department, so I think we're good there. So the investment really needs to be in our patrol, our SROs as that grows, and our investigation divisions. There's a lot of things that we're not involved in, and that's on the sworn side. Now, there's some other things I see as civilians that we need to kind of catch up with some other areas. Intelligence analysts, that's an area that we're looking at, especially as we look towards the development of this new building, that we need to start accounting for that. Most departments are starting to grow their intelligence area. We need to do the same. Those are civilian positions that might help us support us in ways that we just don't have right now, those capabilities. So that's another area. Really, as far as investigations, we're just now for the first time we're members of the Safe Streets Task Force, but there's other task force out there that will bring in resources that we don't have right now. ATF, DEA, Marshal Service, all of those, as we grow and have the capabilities to add members to those units, bring in those resources. So if those crimes affects the members of our community, we have those resources and are better capable of addressing those things head on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all the work you put in this. I know, and talking to you last month, you essentially interviewed everyone, and you were trying to compile all that information to make accurate decisions on your reorganization. So I know you've worked long and hard on it.
Thank you.
And appreciate your effort and the results that you produced here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chief. Next up, we'll move back up to Fire. Chief Gaylor.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Rob Gaylor, Westfield Fire Department. Just a couple highlights. Presented a couple reports, monthly, a mid-year, and then a quarterly. Just catch up. I don't want to bore people with numbers. I just want to hit some highlights. But for the month of June, we averaged over 15 responses a day. And then, again, almost 16% of our calls were to assisted living facilities in our community. And the one thing, John, I'm going to scroll back up to just the words. This report here is the second quarter report, and I think this really highlights the things that we've been able to accomplish just so far in this year. The city is plugging away at lightning speed, and there's a lot of things going on, and sometimes we take some time and we don't take the time and miss capturing some of the things that we've been able to do. And I get to stand on a public platform here and brag about my folks, which is kind of nice. But we're one of very few departments in the state that have actually a licensed social worker on staff. And the reason that we do that is it's cut down on a lot of our non-emergency medical runs. A lot of times we run into, and again, assistance with the police department. Somebody is having a mental problem, and in the police department, the certification is CIT, just helping people manage day to day. And what we found out is a lot of them, they need help, and they don't know how to get the help, and so they fake an injury, a cardiac event. I want to, I'm feeling ill, or weak. Really what they want is someone to talk to. And they need resources to help them out with maybe depression or anxiety or PTSD and things like that. And so we brought Jamie in towards the end of last year and just wanted to brag about her. So far, just in the second quarter, she had 74 referrals and 82 contacts. So in a 90-day time span, she's made 82 contacts with people that are having these challenges. And all in all, I just can't brag about her enough. We had no idea the things that we were missing, just didn't know about the resources that were available not only in our community but in Hamilton County and surrounding counties until we brought Jamie in. So a lot of times these folks would call repeatedly, 2 and 3 times a week. We would go out there and help them. And it's actually cut down on a lot of our repeat customers, if you will. It's less expensive to send Jamie out in an SUV to sit down and talk with the individual for 15, 20, 45 minutes versus $1 million fire truck with the paramedic and an officer and a driver and a backstepper that's out of service because it was a 911 call. So this model has really been beneficial to us. And so bragging about Jamie, just in this short period of time, she's done an excellent job. And our inspection folks, we have 1 inspector and 1 fire marshal. So our fire marshal is the Division Chief Ryan Flora, and he oversees Mark Fuller, which is our building inspector. But with everything that's going on, all of the new things that are opening up, we have to go out and inspect these and then do annual inspections on the businesses that are already in the city and opening. And so 917 inspections, and then participated in 45 events, public education events, with approximately 5,000 attendees. So our folks are doing a lot of things, and they've added more than 140 users to our piece called Community Connect, which is a way for residents in our community to share information with public safety as we respond. Hey, my child has autism, or here's the garage code, or be aware we're on in-home oxygen, things like that that public safety folks need to know prior to getting to the facility. You may have seen our new aerial driving around town. We took delivery of the new Ladder 81, which is a tractor-drawn aerial. So the folks are doing a bunch of training right now before we get it put in service here in August. And so we hired a company out of Seattle, Washington, and the reason we did that is Seattle, in their fleet of about 18 or 20 aerial apparatus, every single one of them is a tractor-drawn device. So they've operated this way for many, many years. Steve Crothers and his team actually come in here to train our folks as trainers. So just drive time alone, our train the trainers are doing 80 hours of drive time. And then our engineers, the people that will be driving them on shift, will do 40 hours to get cleared to actually go on the rig. And that's outside of pumping and firefighting stuff. This is just driving that particular piece of equipment. So I want to highlight those folks. And then administratively, just some other things that are taking place. We've started some conversations with some folks about possible land areas for Station 86. We have a committee that we put together for a renovation of Station 82. And actually today we met with the trustee and her team to go over some of the preliminary drawings and stuff on how that project is going to look like and go from there. Had some discussions about land for Station 85 and then preparing our 2025 budget. So a lot of things going on in really a short period of time, and I just can't thank my team enough, and just want to take a few minutes to stand up here and brag about my folks and the things that they do. Hopefully you had a chance to view the reports, but would be happy to answer any questions that you folks have.
Well, the bragging, as you called it, is very well deserved, and the unaddressed or underaddressed mental health issue in this country is a plague, and the fact that it's being directly addressed. I mean, you look at nationally, you know, veteran suicides is just as one statistic. I think it was underreported last year at like 17. It's about 22 plus or so a day in this country. And a lot of that are depression, PSD, TBI, mental health issues, not just in veterans, obviously, but just to put something that is a measured statistic, it is certainly under-addressed. And the fact that here in the city of Westfield, it's being directly addressed is extremely commendable, and personally, I very much appreciate it.
I want to comment on that, and I'm so pleased that you mentioned PTSD and veterans. In 2017, we don't collect data very often, but in 2017, we had more public safety folks take their own lives than we've lost in the line of duty, and that's both police and fire. And so that is a common theme in our organization, having a member commit suicide and having two of our folks that we have medically retired due to PTSD. It's not something that we take very lightly. And so thank you for bringing that up. And Westfield is really taking strides. I'm not going to say that we're got everything figured out, but we're definitely taking strides in the right direction on taking care of our folks when it comes to dealing with the stresses of, you know, the job. And what our folks see and do is as I've often said, it's not common. And our folks do some extraordinary things. And Jamie is actually, as a counselor, has the ability, we strategically placed her office in our building that folks can sneak in the back door and sit down and have a conversation with her and not feel like they're being watched by administration or their fellow firefighters. And they are taking advantage of that. I know I don't get numbers. She's not going to talk to me about that. She's just like, you know, hey, there's this going on, and I want you to know that we've got it handled. We're talking to some people, and we've got them going where they need to go or doing what they need to do, and everything is good. And another partner that we have is Pro Team Tactical. Worked with those folks for many years on our bumps and bruises, and they implemented a mental health piece last year, incorporated into theirs, and it's kind of a one-stop shop for our folks. When they get banged up on an incident scene or in the firehouse, they're comfortable going there, and it's just a natural progression for them to go see a counselor that they're already comfortable with the team that they work with. And so I know that I have members that see, and me being one of them, see the counselor through Pro Team on a regular basis because I believe in it, and it's what we need today.
As it should be, and I look forward to seeing it expand and grow and move forward. You know, I think if the rest of this country would take that kind of a lead, that this would be a much better place to live. Every life saved is precious. So appreciate what you're doing, and awesome job.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen.
No, I think this is great. It's a good example of investing in both public safety, law enforcement, fire, and the social work side of it. It can be both, not either or, and that's a good example of it.
Yeah, I cannot leave out the police department. Captain Adams in the back is really part of Jamie and her team and the CIT and our QRT that helps out with some of the opioid epidemic that's taken place and things like that. And we partnered with the police department, with SHIELD and Pro Team, and they're just as much involved as we are. But I get to talk about my folks, and Chief Keene talk about his.
Thank you. And up, Mr. Nail, Public Works.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about my folks for a little bit, although not as serious a topic. We'll end on a little lighter note. So since we last saw each other, we moved a building in downtown Westfield. For those of you, you may not have been able to come out there, but hopefully you saw some news reports. We moved a building about 100 feet to the east, the green building there at 102 South Union. I want to give a shout out to my street department. I know we talked about how they were working on shoring that building. The building move contractor that we hired, once the surrounding buildings were demolished and we really got to see the exterior foundation and exterior base plates of that building, they were extremely deteriorated. And the building move contractor said, we won't move it until this is shored up better. Talked to a couple of carpenters who didn't want to touch it. Our street department stepped up, and there's not much they can't do. And so I will send a couple of pictures of the shoring work that they did. Substantial amount of lumber purchased, but they got the job done. Wolf Building Movers was able to pick up the building with no issues and move it to its temporary location that it sits today. That'll allow us time to get overhead utilities underground, where it'll then be moved a second time. Wolf will come back to the site and move that building to its final location. So just wanted to give a shout out to the street department. They did a tremendous job in work that is not necessarily in their job descriptions, but they stepped up to the plate and got it done. Couple construction updates. We've got 196th Street reconstruction that is wrapping up. We're looking at traffic being open on 196th Street in early August. I think I saw August 7th was the most, the current estimate, but I'll say early August to be safe. We're wrapping up the Blackburn sidewalk project that we talked about a couple months ago. That is part of our community block grant funding project. And just for your guys' knowledge, I can point to the locations just so you freshen your mind here. But if the computer cooperates. It is, yeah, yeah. It's just east of the Monon. Our GIS apparently has decided not to work anymore. Oh well. Yeah, it's Blackburn Road that runs here just off of Wheeler Road. We had a sidewalk project that we installed. So that should be finished up in the next week or two. They got several pours done on that project. Street Department, coming back to the theme of them doing just about everything, they are working through some utility disconnects on some properties on Park Street, just to the west of Greek's Pizza, where we will be doing some building demolition there and some temporary parking, gravel temporary parking to provide additional parking options for Park Street in the temporary condition. So we'll be taking care of that here in the next couple of weeks. And then Michael Pierce and his team are working on Community Crossings grant application for next year. So if you recall, we do a lot of our resurfacing program through Community Crossings state grant. And we are required to submit this time of the year for early 2025 selection. So he's gearing up for streets that need to be resurfaced for next year, which is quite a task. So we're hopeful that we'll have similar success that we've had in the past with that program, and looking forward to hopefully getting another selection there. So happy to answer any other questions you may have, but that's all I've got.
Remind me the green building. I know it's going right over here. Is it going, which side of the Playhouse?
On the south side of the
South side.
Playhouse, east side of Union, so directly south of the Playhouse, so on the other side of the alley.
So where the old farm market used to be, right over here?
Yeah, that green space parcel that the city owns. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'll be oriented the same way as it was in its old location, in that Union will be along the west face of the building. The alley will be what was 32, essentially,
Okay.
on the north face.
Thank you. Anything?
Nothing else from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one more possible thing. Chief Gaylor opened up a window for you. If you wanted to say anything else about the police department, I don't want to deny you the chance. Okay, that's fine. I just, all right. Well, if there's no further business, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.